Welcome to the NFLTalkZone podcast, episode 2. I'm your host, Nicolas. I'm joined by my co-host, Graham. Today we got a little bit of quick news. There's been a lot of chaos kind of in the NFL the last couple of days with the news, but we're going to get through the news, and we're also going to talk about one bold prediction for every NFL team in 2022. So it's going to be a fun pod, so stick around and enjoy. So, Graham, you got anything to say before you get into the NFL news?
Can I start us off with the news, actually, with the first topic?
Yeah, you can start us off.
Congratulations to my man Deebo Samuel, the ultimate football player, getting a 3 years, $73.5 million contract extension. Congratulations, Deebo. Personally, for me, I feel like this is a good deal for both sides. Good amount of guaranteed money for Deebo, and it's a short enough contract for the 49ers to where it's not going to be the money going out long term.
Yeah, with the Deebo contract, I liked it. Obviously, although Shanahan is a very good coach and could probably any player fit him in a good role, Deebo is a unique athlete, really good in that role. And I saw reports. Did you see the reports that said Deebo denied the reports that he didn't want to play running back?
Yeah, I saw that.
Because if they can get him. If they can get him to be a receiver and a running back, and you're not paying him as the highest paid receiver, then that's a good deal for them.
Yeah, if he can do what he did last year, I feel like that contract is a steal for them.
That contract would be a steal.
Yeah.
And 3 years I like a lot because if he's going to be running jet sweeps, never know the injury risk or just the wear and tear potentially on his body. But anyway.
Yeah, it's a good deal. Good deal.
Good deal. Okay. So what's the next topic we're gonna go over? Oh, this one's okay. So the Miami Dolphins.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
Miami Dolphins tampering scandal, maybe. Graham, you got any thoughts on this? So let me just go over the details. So if you didn't know, if you somehow didn't know, the Dolphins, they were caught tampering during the span of 2019, 2020, and 21 with Tom Brady, and 2022 with Tom Brady when he was on the Patriots and the Bucs. And they're kind of in trouble. And Sean Payton, they tampered in January when he was still the Saints head coach this year. So basically, tampering, the owner, Stephen Ross, got fined I think $1.5 million. But the big loss is they lost a first-round pick next year and a third-round pick. I think it was next year, but it could have been the year after.
Next year. They're both next year.
So it's going to be weird seeing 31 first-round picks next year. So no 32nd team. I don't think I've seen that.
Yeah.
But anyway, and the owner also gets suspended until I think October 17th. So It was an interesting scandal, though. I just want to give a quick take. If you had a chance to get Tom Brady and Sean Payton, it was worth it. It was worth tampering, I guess, if you had a chance. Because the Dolphins, that roster is so complete. If they got Tom Brady and Sean Payton, they'd be the Super Bowl almost lock, in my opinion. You can never say lock, but it'd be pretty close to a lock. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I agree. Sean Payton, watching him grow up every day of my life, he is the offensive mastermind in the NFL. There is no doubt about that. He is the quarterback whisperer. And then you have the greatest quarterback of all time with the quarterback whisperer. That just breeds winning. And that Dolphins roster currently is just, it's pretty much, like you said, it's complete, except we have Tua Tagovailoa at quarterback. I mean, you get caught cheating and you're going to get the punishment. So it was worth the risk. It was worth the try. You failed. You got caught. You pay the price.
Yep, they paid the price for tampering. So the next topic is going to be the Deshaun Watson suspension, and then what came out today was the NFL appealed the suspension. So basically, Deshaun Watson, the judge, Sue Robinson, came out with she recommended, basically said that Watson should be suspended 6 games because based off the recent domestic violence cases in the NFL, what the outcome was. And so the NFL appealed that. They want Watson, reports are that they want Watson suspended for at least a year or indefinitely, and the year would be with a fine. And now it's coming out that the NFL Players Association is going to try to maybe sue the NFL or something. Did you see that? The
Yeah,
NFL
they're
Players
going to take legal
Association,
action.
they don't agree with the NFL trying to spend Watson for a whole year indefinitely, so it may get chaotic. But any thoughts on this, Graham? I don't really got much to say besides if Jacoby Brissett is the starting quarterback this whole year, I'd say the Browns. It wouldn't shock me if they were the worst team in the AFC. Wouldn't shock me. I don't think Brissett's like bad, but you look at the receivers, you look at comparing Brissett to the other quarterbacks in the AFC, he could be the worst quarterback in the AFC, maybe. But then you have the receivers. The receiving core is not very good. You do have a good run game and a good defense and a good coach. But what are your thoughts on the whole Watson suspension and appeal?
So I won't go much into the whole like Brown situation without Deshaun Watson. That's going to come in a little bit. But on the Deshaun Watson case, I mean, again, kind of like how I said with the Dolphins, you get caught doing stuff that you're not supposed to do, you're going to pay the price. Do I think the 6-game suspension is enough? Absolutely not. Do I think suspending him indefinitely is the right answer? Probably, to be honest with you. This is a tough situation for us to talk about, for anyone to really talk about, because it's just so polarizing and it's just a mess. This is a really bad situation for the NFL. It's a bad look at the NFL. You suspend him 6 games, that's really bad. Like that's not deserving at all. He deserves so much more. You suspend Calvin Ridley for gambling on his own team for a couple weeks on a parlay, and you're going to suspend him for a year. Like it's just the NFL is in a tough place with this situation, and I kind of hope it all gets settled peacefully.
So that's all in the Watson situation. But now we're going to get into an injury that I think is actually gonna hurt a team, and that's the Tim Patrick tearing his ACL. The Denver Broncos receiver, number 3 receiver, Tim Patrick tore his ACL. We were talking a lot about Tim Patrick last week. We both kind of liked him a lot on the Broncos, but he tears his ACL, so it looks like KJ Hamler is going to be that number 3 receiver, which I actually think he can be solid, but losing Tim Patrick hurts with receiving depth and all that. But what do you think of Tim Patrick tearing his ACL? How does it affect the Broncos?
I think Tim Patrick going down is more of a bigger deal than people are giving it to him because he is a slot receiver. Like he is the perfect number 3. And watching him go down with an ACL injury, it's hard for slot receivers to come back after a torn ACL because they rely on their legs for their speed so much and their route running. I'm a little nervous about that. It sucks that it happens to Tim. We were just talking about how much we love him and like how much we're so excited to see him play with a good quarterback this year with Russell Wilson. It's just bad luck. Broncos seem like they have really bad luck with wide receivers and their ACLs. Last year, Sutton. This year, Patrick. Just really bad luck. Wish him the best, and hopefully we'll see him next year.
Yep. Wish Tim Patrick the best in his recovery. But now we're getting into the fun part. We're about to throw some hot takes, bold predictions, the good stuff.
Get spicy. It's going to get real spicy.
So basically for the bold prediction, Graham, I'm just going to clarify with you. I did mine as a bold prediction for every team that I actually have happening. It's not just like the Texans are going to win the Super Bowl. It's not something like that we don't think is going to happen. It's actually something we think happening for each team, whether it's a player development stat or a team record or anything for the team that we think good chance of happening this year. We're actually predicting it to happen, and it's bold.
Yep.
So is that how you did yours, Graham?
Yep. Pretty much you hit the nail on the head.
Okay, so we're getting into the first team. We're starting with the Arizona Cardinals. I got the Arizona Cardinals finishing 7-10 as of now in 2022. Coming off an 11-win season last year. They're kind of a team that I think a lot of people would think would finish with a winning record again. They got Murray and Kingsbury extended. But I think that the defense, the loss to Chandler Jones is going to hurt them. I think that the cornerback situation is not very good. You got Byron Murphy, who I think is actually an underrated corner, but I think outside of him, your number 2 corner is Marco Wilson, second-year player. I haven't seen much. I think the defense is going to be kind of struggling this year versus those good Dinos team, the Rams team, and the NFC West.
Don't forget
And
about those Seahawks.
I believe that the Cardinals also play the AFC West, which has good teams.
Yep.
So it's going to be a tough road for the Cardinals, and I think they're going to finish 7-10 this year. What's your bold prediction for the Cardinals, Graham?
I have Cliff Kingsbury being fired at the end of the
Wow. Okay, you're going bold.
year.
You just extended him.
Yep, I see. I know the extension just happened this year, but I agree with you. I think they're gonna have a losing record, but I'm going one game higher. I think they're gonna go 8-9. They're gonna start off really hot and they're gonna fizzle out once again for the third year in a row. And I think the Cardinals organization is just gonna have enough of this whole fizzling out at the end of the year, and they're gonna take it out on Cliff Kingsbury. Which personally, I don't think it's all him. I think it's also Kyler as well. But they're going to take it on the head coach just because they paid Kyler Murray this huge contract, being the second highest paid quarterback. Granted, they also did give Cliffs a giant contract as well for a coach, but he's more of a movable piece.
Okay, so Graham's got the Cardinals just slamming the hammer on Cliff's head, apparently. But
these are some wild takes. You have no idea.
My takes are going to get wild. This one's probably not going to be as fun for either of us. It's the Falcons takes. Graham, I'll let you start off. What's your take for the Falcons in 2022 that you consider bold?
So a pretty bold one for me is that Calvin Ridley will either leave the Falcons by retiring, or they will cut him, or he will request a trade and he'll get traded by the end of the year, preparing for next season. The whole, like I said earlier, the whole scandal. This is kind of an iffy topic, too, because he's suspended. I know there's some legal rules with trading people who are suspended. I think personally he just won't be on the team next year. I think after this past season and how bad he got hurt and how bad he just did not want to play on the Falcons, I think that's going to continue and he'll go to a different team. It's bad for both sides, so he needs a reset.
My take for the Falcons, I don't think it's too bold. It's them being the 32nd ranked yards per game offense. That's just the metric I went by for this to determine the 32nd ranked offense. But I think with the receiver and Drake London, the number one receiver, I think he's going to be good. I was high on him in the draft, and I think Kyle Pitts going to be very good too. But outside of that, I think either Riddle or Mariota could be the bottom starting quarterback in football. Pair that with a bad offensive line, a lack of run game, and the receiver depth outside of the two I named is not very good. So I'm going to have the Falcons being the 32nd ranked offense, yards per game wise in football this year. So moving on to the next team, we got the Baltimore Ravens. Mine's a little spicy take. So as we know, the 17 games in the new NFL started last year, and that gives players easier chances to break records than before. So I'm going to have Mark Andrews breaking the most receiving yards ever for a tight end in a season. The current number he has to beat is Travis Kelce's number, which, let me double check what that was. Travis Kelce's number was 1,416. So I think Mark Andrews can break that. Maybe a little bold, but if there's someone who can break it, it could be Kelce, break his own record, but I'm going to have Mark Andrews doing it. The Ravens, they got Rashad Bateman, but outside of that, not too many big receiving threats. So I'm going to have Mark Andrews breaking the tight end record for yards in a season.
I like that bold prediction. That's a good one. So for me, the Baltimore Ravens, my bold prediction is that J.K. Dobbins will come back and have an All-Pro year. I think he'll be on the second team All-Pro, and this is going to happen one or two ways. Either he's going to have a monster season, or one of the big-time running backs is going to get hurt, and he's going to fill that gap. I loved him coming out of college from Ohio State. He's so pure because he can obviously he has that power. And he also has a little bit of that finesse with the ball, like when he catches the ball out in the backfield. We saw it a little bit his first year, and then he got hurt this past year. We didn't get to see much of him, and it sucked. But I'm excited about him this year. I think he's going to come back stronger than ever. That's my bold prediction for the Ravens.
I like Dobbins a lot, but I think you might have to realize one running back makes each All-Pro team, if I'm not tripping.
Yep.
One running back makes each All-Pro team unless there's a tie between votes. So you're really banking on J.K. Dobbins being a top 2-3 running back in football, which I think is a big stretch, especially with the Ravens They like to use Gus Edwards a lot. They added Mike Davis to that room. So, but your take. But that's
I
honest
I
take so
just
far.
I think the Ravens, their team, when they run that triple option, if you really look at how they run their offense, look who is their running back. It's Lamar Jackson, and it's always the first down running back, and that's going to be J.K. Dobbins this year. So I think they're going to use him a lot.
Well, we'll get to the next team. We got the Buffalo Bills. I raved about this guy last week. We're raving about him again. You already know what I'm talking about. Mr. Khalil Shaquille is gonna go for 900 plus yards. I almost wanted to say 1,000, but I thought that'd be a little too bold. But so I kind of chickened out of 1,000. But I got Khalil Shaquille breaking the 900-yard mark in the slot for the Bills this season, and that may seem bold looking at it because Diggs, barring injury, is going to get over 900 yards. Gabriel Davis should get over 900 yards, so that might mean 3 900-yard receivers, which would be very rare. But I got Khalil Shaquille being a 900-plus yard receiver in 2022.
My bold prediction for the Buffalo Bills is that they will be the number one passing offense in the NFL. So you got Stephon Diggs.
That's not bold.
That's pretty bold, if you really think about it. It's not bold. It's not crazy bold, but it is a little bold saying that they're the number one passing offense in football. I think I can also add on to this. I think Josh Allen will also win MVP this year. If
The
that's
favorite, but he's the favorite. I guess it's bold to predict anyone to win MVP because it differs so much year to year. But he is the favorite to win MVP.
Yeah, I like the way this Bills offense stacks up. It's a good offense, really good. Josh Allen has the weapons, and I can see it happening.
Well, moving on to the next team. The next team is going to be the Carolina Panthers. Now, I got an interesting bold one for this. It's a little different than the ones we've done so far, but I'm going to have a prediction that Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield both start 6+ games for this Panthers team this year. So I think that they're going to be that team where I don't know who's going to win the job. I'm kind of leaning Darnold because he's been there and knows the playbook, and Baker just arrived about a month ago or less than a month ago. But it could go either way. But anyway, I think whoever wins it, there's going to come a point where the Panthers start losing. Matt Rule's playing for his job. He switches to try to spark it. Who knows what happens? And they could be switching back, kind of like the 2020 Bears, where they switch from Foles to Trubisky back and forth, like what's going on. And then I think the Panthers could be similar. I don't think that this team's going to be very good. I think that the Baker hype train is a little much for me, and I think that they're both going to be split in time. So what do you think about the Panthers for the bold prediction?
I think the Panthers are going to be the worst team in the NFC. I just don't
That's not too bold, but I do not agree with the Panthers being the worst team.
Yeah, and you see that's a bold prediction, I think, because of the hype train for Baker and his revenge tour. I don't see it. Offensive line is not good. One of his receivers doesn't want to play with him, and Robbie Anderson. I mean, this team is a mess.
I don't know if you can say that. I mean, he said he was just defending his Jets teammate, Sam Darnold, but you don't know if he wants to play with him or not.
No. The team's a mess. Matt Rule is just – he's not the guy, and it sucks. But I think they're going to be the worst team in the NFC with a record of no more than 3-14.
Moving on to my Chicago Bears prediction. I'm going to have Darnell Mooney finishing top 10 in receiving yards. I think he's a top 25 receiver in this league. I think he could take a jump into the top 15 to 20 this year. But you look at the Bears offense, I think Cole Kmet is an underrated tight end. But outside of Kmet, you look at the other receiving options. You got Byron Pringle, Felix Jones Jr., the rookie, N'Keal Haley, second-year player Daz Newsome. You don't got much talent. So I think this Fields to Mooney connection is going to be lethal. They've been working all offseason, and I think that Mooney is going to go for a good 12, maybe 1,300 yards and be top 10 in the league in receiving yards.
So my bold prediction for the Bears is also Darnell Mooney, and that is he will be an All-Pro. not an All-Pro, a Pro Bowler this year.
Okay, you
So I think he'll
almost
have
got me there. I'm like All
yeah.
Pro. I mean, I'd be happy if Mooney makes All Pro,
No,
but
I think he'll
even
be
Pro Bowl would be good for Mooney.
I think he'll be a Pro Bowler this
I
year.
think Mooney will be a Pro Bowler too.
Yeah, he has that skill set, kind of like Tyreek Hill. I'm not saying he's anything like Tyreek Hill, like talent wise.
Because in
But he
Graham's
has
eyes,
that.
the only one who compares to Tyreek Hill is Deontay Hardy.
I also have a hot take about him about the Saints later, but that's for another time. No, going back on Darnell Mooney, he just reminds me of a good scat receiver. You know, he is a typical slot guy, but you could throw him outside and make him run a go route, and he's going to burn you or burn your up top over your top free safety. I think he's just going to stack up the receiving yards, like how you said. I think he's going to get around 1,100 yards, maybe not top 10, but just outside. But I also think he's going to do a lot with an interesting new offense with the Bears with Justin Fields. Maybe run a little bit more jet sweeps. Maybe put him in the backfield a little bit. Just explore around with Darnell Mooney because he is that versatile. And I think that they will do that this year, and he's going to become a Pro Bowler.
So we're moving on to the next team, the Cincinnati Bengals. And if we had a podcast last year, I'm 99.9% sure Graham would have came on here and predicted this team to make the playoffs, and they ended up going to the Super Bowl. But anyway, the Bengals, I got a little bold one here. We're going to compare this team to an all-time offense. I got them being a top 10 offense, points per game wise, all time in NFL history. But I think that this team's going to go out there, reiterate, they're going to be a top 10 offense in the history of pro football. You look at the points per game, top 10 all time. You got, let me just redo it. 2013 Broncos, 07 Pats, 2018 Chiefs, 2011 Packers, 2012 Patriots, 1998 Vikings, 2011 Saints, Washington in 1983, and then your 10th, I think that's your 10th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9th. Oh, your 9th is the 2016 Falcons, and your 10th is the 2000 Rams. So the 2000 Rams and Falcons and 83 Washington team was all at 38 or 33.8 points per game. So basically, I'm looking at this team saying, can they put up 34 points per game and be a top 10 offense all time? And I don't think that's out of question. They got a tough defensive division. Pittsburgh always has tough defense. Baltimore has a very tough defense. Cleveland's got a pretty good defense. So that's going to be a tough road, but I think that this team can do it. And I'm gonna go bold and say that the Bengals are a top 10 points per game wise offense in NFL history.
So my bold prediction for the Cincinnati Bengals also is about their offense. And even though I said the Bills would be the top passing offense in football, this is overall the best offense in football. And I think they will have, like you said, a top 10 historically, like, great offense. Joe Mixon at running back, and you got Joe Burrow at quarterback. You got three very talented receivers in Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, and, of course, our main man, Jamar Chase. Last year, if we would have done this, I would have said the Bengals would have went to the playoffs, and I would have been right. So I think saying that this team will be a historically great offense, just like how you're saying, and I completely agree with it. And it sucks that we have the same bold prediction, but it's an easy bold prediction for the both of us to choose from.
Now we got the Cleveland Browns next up. So the Browns, with the recent Watson appeal, I'm going to say that this team finishes last in the AFC conference. I touched this a little bit earlier. Main reason why is just because the lack of a passing attack, in my opinion, in 2022 is going to struggle with Jacoby Brissett, who I don't think is awful, but I don't definitely think he's Deshaun Watson. And the receivers outside of Cooper are not very good. You got Njoku at tight end, solid. But I think it's going to be mainly a rushing team. It's going to be able to win some games with the running and defense, but I don't think that they have enough passing the ball wise. And although the defense is good, I don't think it's elite enough to win them a ton of games. So I'm going to say that the 4 or 5-ish win team, and finish last in the AFC.
I think
it's pretty bold.
Yeah, that's pretty bold. For me, it's hard because I want to say I have two. I wrote down two, but I'm going to go with this one. Deshaun Watson will not play this year. And that one's not too bold. It's a little bit 50-50 after the 6-game suspension. Now with all the whole appeal things, I still think it's going to be very, very possible he doesn't play this year. If they don't play again if he does not play this year, the Browns are going to finish 4th in their division. That division's too tough. They might finish 4th anyways with Deshaun Watson. I don't like the Browns roster. I like the Browns roster. I don't like the depth on it. Like you said, the wide receiving core, they got Amari Cooper and Peoples-Jones, and that's about it. There's no one else. And I don't like that.
David Bell's was number 3 rookie out of Purdue, who I wasn't very high on.
Yeah, and I was not high on either. You have to have depth in the NFL. People are going to get hurt. People are going to get tired. You got to have people in there that are going to be fresh.
Receiver depth is very important.
Very important, and they don't have that. Their defense, Myles Garrett. I love Myles Garrett. Jadeveon Clowney, great run stuffing defensive end. But I'm not a fan.
Okay, moving on to America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. I got the Cowboys finishing below 500. I think they're a 7-8 win football team. I think that the offensive line has regressed. The receiving core without Amari Cooper and Cedric Wilson has regressed. And I think you look at the defense, they were very fortunate with those turnovers last year. They led the league in turnovers. I think their defense outperformed the roster. As good as I think Micah Parsons is, and I think Trayvon Diggs is going to continue to grow as a player and continue to grow as a corner. I don't like the number 2 corner with Anthony Brown. Kelvin Joseph could be the number 2 corner. We'll see how he performs. Second-year player out of Kentucky 2 years ago. Yep. Safety room. Jerron Curtis had his career year last year. I don't think he's going to be as good as he was last year. And overall, I think this team is going to take a step back in that division. I don't think they're going to go 6-0 in their division again. I could see them honestly splitting with everybody in that division. And I got the Cowboys going like 8-9 or 7-10. So under 500.
So my bold prediction for the Dallas Cowboys is that the Cowboys will finish under 500 as well, but they will have a top 10 offense in football. As much as I don't like Dak Prescott, he produces numbers, and numbers is the only thing that matters about being a top 10 offense in football.
They were the number 1 offense last year.
Exactly.
In like almost everything. They were number 1 in points per game, yards per game, and even if you take this how you want a PFF grade.
Yeah. I think it's going to be the same way this year, except their record's going to show that they're not that good of a team. They're not complete. Defense has major holes. Trayvon Diggs is he's a good cornerback, not great. He has the interception numbers, but he's also given up 1,100 yards receiving on him.
But I think I think he's going to learn from that and become a improving corner.
We'll see. I personally don't think so. I don't like Trayvon Diggs. I've never really liked him. I didn't like him coming out of college. He's too scatty for me. I'm not a big fan of the Cowboys. You know how much I don't like this team. And it makes me happy to say that, but I also feel bad for Dak because I do kind of like Dak.
Moving on to the next team, we got the Denver Broncos. Graham, I'll let you start with your Denver Broncos bold prediction 2022.
Courtland Sutton will have a great comeback year. I think he's going to have over 1,000 yards receiving. I think he finally looks healthy. I saw a couple of videos from their training camp on their Instagram, and I was pretty impressed. He's getting his moving down. His route running looks better than his rookie year, and that's where I'm going to go back to his rookie year because that was the last time he was fully healthy and developed.
He was healthy last year. He might have missed it.
I don't think so. Like I said last week, I don't think he was fully healthy.
You think he was playing injured?
Yes.
He didn't look the same last year as he did in his I think you're talking about second year because 2018 was his rookie year, 2019 was his 1,100 yard second year, 2020 was the 1 game year.
Yeah, and I was talking about
second year but second year he looked very good, and I think last year he didn't look as good as the second year.
Exactly. And I think I was looking back at rookie year, not even second year, because that's when he was at his youngest, and that was probably when he was his most raw athleticism. Second year, he polished it up a lot, and this year I want to see that step that he needs to take. Last year, I still think he was hurt. 2020 COVID year, torn ACL, recovering from that injury. I'm ready to see that step that Courtland Sutton needs, and now he has the quarterback for it. So I'm ready to see it.
So my bold prediction for the Broncos, well, first off, I'm going to have 2 bold predictions on here. Well, I'm going to say a player finishes top 5 in rushing yards. It's probably not very common for people to say. And My second one's going to be more bold than this one, but my first one is Javonte Williams, top 5 rushing yards. I don't think this is super bold, but we see the ability to run after contact, run with speed and power. I like Javonte Williams a lot. I don't think this is bold, so I'm not going to go into detail on this one, but it's in my bold predictions because it's probably less likely to happen than to happen. But anyway, moving on to the next team, we're going to have a little debate segment here about Graham's Bengals of this year, Detroit Lions. We think two completely opposite opinions. Like we're like probably 7-8 games off on our record predictions, something like that. 6, 7, 8 games off. So, do you want to go positive or negative first, Graham?
Let's go negative first. I like to always end on
Okay,
positive.
so I have the Detroit Lions finishing 3-14. The funny part is, when is it bold to say the Lions are going to win 3 games besides this year when they seem to be getting hype? Oh, wait, they get hype a lot of years, but especially this year, they seem to got a lot of hype because I think they played a lot of close games last year. But the Lions, they're getting a lot of hype, but I'm just not buying into the hype at all. I think that the Detroit Lions are going to be a 3-win team. I think this defense still has a long way to go. I think the defense is really not very good outside of Hutchinson and Romeo Okwara. I think the secondary has a lot of room to go. You got a guy like Mani O. I forget how to say his last name, but you know what I'm talking about, the corner who is a very good ball hawking corner, but he's your number 1 corner. I think he's more of a number 2. See how Jeff Okudah bounces back. Safety room, not very special with Tracy Walker and Deshaun Elliott. 2 solid players, though. Linebacker core, not very good. I think overall the defense is still a long ways to go, and I think the offense, Jared Goff, is really holding him back. I think the receiving core without Jamison Williams for a good portion of the season is not going to be very good with DJ Chark, Amon St. Brown, who I like, and then who's you going to be? I think you're going to have Khalif Raymond or someone fill in when Jamison Williams is out. So I think that they're going to not be very good passing the ball, and the defense I don't think is very good at all. So I got them winning 3 games. I don't understand the Lions hype, but Graham, you convinced me why the Lions are going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, as you said, my bold prediction is the Lions making the playoffs. They are my Bengals of this year. I like Dan Campbell. I love Dan Campbell. I love myself some good old Dan Campbell. I think his leadership and the way he drives his players is just going to boost the morale of the team. And I'm a big believer in morale. I don't like Jared Goff at quarterback. I really don't. But I think he is such a good game manager, as we saw at Los Angeles. He took them to the playoffs. Let's not forget about that. Jared Goff took a team to a Super Bowl. Did he?
But it wasn't like Jared Goff had the backpack on or anything.
Exactly. That's where I was. I'm going to get into the whole wild card situation. I think they're going to sneak into a weak NFC wild card spot at a 9-8 record. The NFC is very weak this year.
I don't agree that the NFC is very weak. I could see the 7th spot being weak on the weak side, but I don't think the NFC as a whole is weak. Go on.
I think the NFC is top heavy, and overall, it's just It's the weaker of the two.
It's the weaker of the 2 conferences.
Exactly, and it's by a long mile.
But get into because what makes you think on the roster that they'll playoff caliber? Because when you look at Dan Campbell, I don't think you can say I like Dan Campbell, because if Bill Belichick could have a 8-8 or 7-9 record, whatever he did in 2020 with the Pats, I don't think Dan Campbell's just gonna take this Lions team on his back and be like, "Come on, boys, we're going to the playoffs," and then the whole team just goes to the playoffs. It's not gonna happen.
I think Jeff Okudah will step up on defense. I love the big man from Michigan, Mr. Rutschman. Not Rutschman, that's a baseball player. Jeez. Oh man.
Hutchinson.
It's been a long day. Hutchinson. Aiden Hutchinson from Michigan, hometown hero. Like I said about Jared Goff, I mean, he's a game manager. He's gonna get his job done. You had a couple more weapons, even though the young man from Alabama, Mr. Williams. Oh my God.
Jamison Williams. Okay,
Jamison Williams.
Yeah, Jamison Williams.
I knew it. I can't. It's been a long day. Jamison Williams coming back midway through the year. I I can see him being a very good option for Jared Goff. Amase Brown, I'm looking for a breakout year for him. And just overall, the offensive line is good enough to give DeAndre Swift time to be a good running back. He reminds me a lot of Alvin Kamara. And I'm just very excited for this Detroit Lions offense.
I think people are a little high on Swift, in my opinion, but we'll move on to the next team. We spent a lot of time on the Lions. We'll get to the next team. The next team is the Green Bay Packers. Now, this is my bolder of the two top 5 rushing yard predictors, but I think Graham already knows by now I'm high on A.J. Dillon, and I think he's going to be top 5 in rushing yards this year with probably over 1,100 yards. I think they kind of split it last year, and it kind of went more towards A.J. Dillon than Aaron Jones, but they were both very similar in rushing ability. But I think A.J. Dillon is the better rusher of the two, Dillon and Jones. And I think Jones is going to be more of a 700 rusher this year, maybe a 600 yard receiver. And I think A.J. Dillon is going to be the lead guy in the running back position with about 1,100 yards, maybe 200 to 300 receiving. So I think this offense without the Davante Adams is going to be very running back heavy, and I think A.J. Dillon has the talent to be a top 5 rusher in football this year.
My bold prediction for the Packers, I'm going to be quick and easy with this, and that is there's going to be no receiver or tight end with over 1,000 receiving yards. Losing Davante Adams is huge. You have Alan Lazard as your wide receiver number 1, 2 rookies, and then you have Randall Cobb, who is old and has significantly regressed since his prime. I love Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers is still going to lead this Green Bay Packers team to a 1 or a 2 seed in the NFC. It's just, I don't know if he's going to have that one guy to get him, going, how he's had with Davante Adams.
Moving on to the next team, we got the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans. So you kind of, I don't know if we can say you roasted the Texans, but you kind of disrespected the Texans last week when you said you want to see what makes you want to watch them, which was kind of disrespectful to fellow Texans fans out there. I'm not a Texans fan. I don't know why I said that, but the Texans fans out there. But I'm going to be positive with the Texans. Damian Pierce, I think, is going to rush for 1,000-plus yards as a rookie. You got Marlon Mack and Rex Burkhead as your other running backs. Damian Pierce, I think, is easily going to be running back 1. I think the Texans will realize that by the end of training camp, and I think he's going to rush for over 1,000 yards as a rookie.
I won't watch more than 2 quarters of a Texans football game this year. That is my hot take.
We get it, Graham. You won't watch the Texans.
Yep, I'm not going to watch the Texans. I will double down on that. Other than that, actually, my actual hot take will be Mr. Collins, La'el Collins, wide receiver. I love La'el Collins. He's going to have a breakout year with 950 yards plus passing. I personally like Davis Mills personally. I like his skill set, stronger arm, good game manager. I don't think he's never going to get a good shot at being a starting quarterback in the NFL, only because he's on the Texans. I like the potential in him. I hope the Texans don't let him go after this year when they get the first overall pick for Bryce Young. It's bound to happen. Feel bad for Davis Mills. I like him, and I especially like La'el Collins, but I will not be watching more than 2 quarters of this team. This team is terrible.
We got John saying that this Packers running back room is very similar to the Browns with Chubb and Hunt, so I could see that. I'm assuming he's talking about A.J. Dillon being a top 5 rushing back in football.
Yeah, I like that. I like that comparison. That's a good comparison with Chubb being more of the A.J. Dillon power guy. Nico Collins. Sorry. La'el Collins used to. God, I can't believe I did that.
Graham's had a long day.
Yeah, I've been up since 6:30. Drove an hour and a half. Drove back here. I've been doing a lot of stuff all day. Graham's brain is fried.
Okay, but moving on to the next team. The next team, we got the Indianapolis Colts. This is going to get fun. I'm just going to start off. Here we go, Graham. The Indianapolis Colts are going to be the team that wins the AFC, not the Buffalo Bills, not the Los Angeles Chargers, not the Kansas City Chiefs, not the Bengals, not the Broncos, Raiders, Texans, whoever. The Colts are going to win the AFC. You look at their running game, they're going to be able to run on anyone in football, whether that's the Chargers, the Bills, any team that they want, the Chiefs. And you look at the addition of Matt Ryan, he's going to be a better quarterback than Carson Wentz was. They got Michael Pittman. They got Alec Pierce, the steal of the draft. Paris Campbell healthy. This is going to be an underrated passing offense. This is going to be a top 7-8 offense in the NFL. Then you look at the defensive side of the ball. The Colts added Stephon Gilmore to go with Kenny Moore and Isaiah Rodgers to make one of the better cornerback rooms in football, which corner is the most important position on defense, in my opinion, in 2022 with the passing game. And you look at the defensive line, DeForest Buckner, Yannick Ngakoue, who they added in a trade with the Raiders. And you have Kwity Paye in his second season. Grover Stewart. Look at the linebackers. Darius Leonard, Bobby Okereke. This team, my bad. Shaquille Leonard is his changed his name. Shaquille Leonard, Bobby Okereke. Safety, a little concerning, but you got Julian Blackmon coming back, was injured last year after a good rookie season. You got Nick Cross or Rodney McLeod, however you say his last name, is going to be your next other safety. So it's going to be a good defense. Losing Matt Eberflus might hurt a little, but I don't think too much. I think this team is going to win the AFC. I think they match up very good with the Bills and the Chargers. My only concern is if they play the Ravens, but I still think I would take the Colts in a playoff game over the Ravens because I trust Matt Ryan in the playoffs more than Lamar Jackson, but who knows? Lamar Jackson could outperform Matt Ryan any given day.
Okay, so my bold take for the Indianapolis Colts, also kind of going with the receivers thing. I like Michael Pittman, and I'm expecting a good year. He's got a good quarterback, not necessarily an amazing quarterback, but a great game manager. Probably the best game managing quarterback in the NFL right now, behind Tom Brady. I love myself some good old Matt Ryan. Watching him.
Wait. What'd you just say?
I think he's the second best game managing quarterback.
Did you just call Tom Brady a game manager?
Okay, he's the GOAT. I understand he's the GOAT.
No, we can have a Tom Brady. We talk another day, but keep going on. We'll just ignore that.
I love Matt Ryan. He's great. He just manages an offense very, very precisely, except when he plays the Saints. But anyways, enough on the Matt Ryan and Landon Hawkins slander. I just really like myself some Michael Pittman. He's just a big body receiver who can get down the field pretty quickly. And I'm excited to see him break out this year.
Moving on to the next team, I'll let you start with this one, Graham. We got the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mine's going to be pretty bold on this one, but you can get your take for them.
I think the Jacksonville Jaguars will have 7 wins this year. I don't necessarily dislike this team. Defense needs a lot of work. Losing Myles Jack to the Pittsburgh Steelers is kind of a big blow for that team. They lose that veteran presence on the defensive side. But I'm going to focus more at the quarterback position with Trevor Lawrence. Like we talked about last week, I kind of like the Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence combination, but we both know that Doug Peterson is very good with young quarterbacks, as we saw with Carson Wentz before Carson Wentz got hurt. And even with a veteran quarterback with Nick Foles winning all these playoff games and going on that magical Super Bowl run, clearly he knows something that we do not know about quarterbacks, and that doesn't go unnoticed for me personally. And I'm excited to see what he can do with Trevor Lawrence. And I think that those two actually mesh really well. I also like Christian Kirk. I think he's vastly overpaid, but I think he's going to actually impress a lot of people this year.
I think Christian Kirk is an underrated receiver, but anyway, my take is Trevor Lawrence. I'm going to say Trevor Lawrence is a top 12 quarterback, and you may say, how are we going to see how this take ages? Like top 12 quarterback, that's very subjective. I was thinking about saying passer rating, but I think that's too dependent on your core around you, and I don't think his core is great around him. So I'm going to go Trevor Lawrence finishes as top 12 QB. We're going to go with PFF grade. Some people love it. Some people hate it.
I hate it.
Okay, that's for another day. But anyway, Trevor Lawrence, I think he has all the talent in the world. I think last year, in a bad situation, we saw his ability to really protect himself with not taking more than 3 sacks in one game behind that O-line. I think he really showed more than people are giving him credit for with his ability to make plays outside the pocket and on the run. Very good athlete. I think he's strong in the pocket, good deep ball, good accuracy, got all the trades. Just needs to kind of not have last year's disaster, and I think he doesn't have that this year. Doug Peterson, an improved offense. I think he's going to be good this year, and I got him being top 12 quarterback in PFF grade. Yeah, moving on to the next team. Got the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm high on another rookie here, another second-round rookie, and Sky Moore. I have Sky Moore going for over 1,000 yards, leading the Chiefs in receiving yards. I think Sky Moore is the best receiver on this team. Elite release off the line, can play in line, can play in the slot. On the outside, I think Sky Moore's got a lot to his game, and I think he's going to develop into a very good receiver and could be one of the best in this class. And I think he's going to have a good rookie with Patrick Mahomes throwing in the ball. So I have Sky Moore going over 1,000 yards in 2022.
For my hot take, I have the Kansas City Chiefs finishing third in their division, but they'll still make the playoffs. I think they're going to finish third behind the Las Vegas Raiders and the Los Angeles Chargers. And I think this AFC West division is so tough that this is a very hot take, making them finish third behind the Raiders. And most people have the Raiders finishing fourth in the division. I am very high on the Raiders. I love myself some Derek Carr. I know you're not the biggest fan
Of who?
of the Raiders just in general and of Derek Carr.
Oh, okay. We'll get to that.
Yeah, I think we're going to get to that later.
This next one.
Yeah, literally.
I think Graham's joking.
I just don't think the Kansas City Chiefs, they regressed significantly without Tyreek Hill. And I like the Raiders team, and I'm kind of excited to see how this new and revamped Chiefs offense is. But I think they're going to finish third in their division.
I'm just laughing because of what you just. I just think you're. Anyway, what is that like? I'm sorry. My bold take. My bold take for the Raiders is Derek Carr leads the NFL in passing yards. After Graham just said that I'm not a Derek Carr guy, but
you're
anyway.
not. You've never been a Derek Carr guy until now. What did you
Derek Carr leading the NFL in passing yards. I think Derek Carr is very good quarterback. Have him 7th on my rankings for back-to-back years. I think Derek Carr.
That's not true.
Anyway, I think Derek Carr is going to lead the NFL in passing yards. Graham can go scroll at text from 2 years ago or whatever. But Derek Carr leading the NFL in passing yards. I think he has the weapons now. He was top 5 in last year. I believe he almost due for 5,000 yards. And I think this year he's going to eclipse 5,000 yards and be the league leader in passing yards.
Yeah, so my bold prediction for the Las Vegas Raiders is that they're going to have 11 wins and finish second in their division. Kind of correlates with the team that we just talked about with the Kansas City Chiefs. I just love the additions that the Raiders have. We talked about it last week. I love the additions that they added to the defense. Chandler Jones, and you're going to have him on one side and then Max Crosby on the other side. Those two are going to be very difficult to double team. Excuse me. The offense, of course, gets better with Devontae Adams. Can't forget about my main man, Hunter Renfrow. Great slot guy. He's just an overall great utility player. And personally, I like myself some Josh Jacobs. I don't think he's a top 8 to 5 running back, but I think he's a borderline 9, 10, 11, 12 type of running back. He's going to get you the production that you need, the good power back behind an average offensive line. And, of course, my main man, Derek Carr. I love myself some Derek Carr.
But Graham, just in case you're wondering, we're going to share the screen real quick. We're going to share my YouTube video on my personal channel, Nicolas Gill, from June 18th, 2021. Derek Carr 7th. There you go, Graham. And then I'm sure you already know this year I had him 7th. But anyway.
Okay. You win. I just remember that I used to talk so much good about Derek Carr, and you just were not a big fan of him.
What?
I just never remembered you being such a big fan.
Okay, but anyway, enough on the Raiders. Now the next.
Yeah.
Chargers. What's your Chargers take?
My Chargers take is Justin Herbert will finish number 2 in MVP voting. He's going to lead this Chargers team. I don't think he's going to be, how I said last week, as my like one thing I'm looking forward to is if he's going to be like Phillip Rivers. I don't think so. I just think he's just naturally gifted, and I think that's something that Phillip Rivers never had. And I'm excited to see what he's going to do this year with the weapons that he has, surrounded by that great defense and a great offensive line, led by their great offensive line with Slater at the tackle spot. They're just overall really good, and I'm excited.
I think Mr. Joe Lombardi is going to get a head coaching job at the end of the season. I think he's the most maybe I don't know how to describe it. I think he's a very good offensive coordinator, one of
Yep.
the better offensive coordinators in football. I really like his scheme for Justin Herbert, and I think by the end of the year that he's going to get a head coaching job for some team.
Yeah, I like that.
And now we can move on to the next team. The next team, the LA Rams. This one was hard for me to get a bold take. I guess my bold take is that they finished 10-7 because I have them winning 10 games, which is like lower than most people, I guess. But
Yeah.
I don't see that as really a bold take. They're still winning double-digit games, in my opinion. Have them at 10 games. Why? I think the loss of Whitworth and Von Miller is really gonna hurt a lot. I think those were two top, maybe five players on the team. Really, five, if not top 6 players on the team, which always hurts. Losing Darius Williams is a little bit of a bummer. I think Bobby Wagner at this point in his career is on the back end, but still can provide something. But I'd rather have Von Miller on my team than Bobby Wagner. And I'd rather have Andrew Whitworth than Allen Robinson. So that's the way I look at it. I think the Rams are going to win 10 games.
I like that bold prediction, but I'm gonna go a little bit different. I'm gonna go on a player. I'm gonna go with Aaron Donald, and I think he's gonna solidify himself as the best defensive player of all time. I think this year he's finally gonna do it.
I think some people already think he's the best, but you think it's going to be like
I think it's gonna be
consensus?
This year. Yeah,
I don't think it's going to be consensus for me.
I think he's gonna get 12.5 sacks this year. He's going to win Defensive Player of the Year once again, and this is going to be the final time where we all look at each other and look at him and find like, you know what, he really is the best defensive player in NFL history.
Anyway, I don't really think he's going to solidify that this year, but who knows? He could. I still think Lawrence Taylor and Deion Sanders are 2 steps ahead of Donald. Well, maybe not 2 steps, but a step ahead of Donald right now. But we'll see.
That's a good topic. Those are the 3 best of all time, and there's no doubt.
Moving on to the next one, we got the Miami Dolphins. So I got a pretty hot take one for this one, but I'll let you go first, Graham.
Okay. Kind of contradicts what I said last week with Tyreek Hill and Waddle. I think Jalen Waddle will have more receiving yards than Tyreek Hill. And I don't think Tyreek Hill is going to get hurt. I just think that Tua already has that connection with Waddle, and he's going to lean on Jalen a little bit more. And I'm excited to see those two connect. And I'm also very excited to see Tua and Tyreek Hill connect. But I just think Waddle and Tua will connect more.
Well, you covered it. That was my hot take.
Oh, really?
We had the same hot take. Yeah, I think Jalen Waddle, he's number 10 on my receiver rankings right now. I just think his ability, his speed, his run after catch ability is some of the best in football.
His route running is crisp.
You combine that with his good route running, and I think with a good deep throwing quarterback, he can show that he can be one of the best deep threats in football. I think he has a very unique skill set, and I think he's going to have more receiving yards than Tyreek Hill. It may sound bold, but I definitely think he will have more receptions, which I think will lead to more receiving yards. We'll probably still say Tyreek Hill's a slightly better player at the end of the season because I think he's going to have more touchdowns, be more of a red zone presence than Jalen Waddle. But I think Waddle's going to be right there with Tyreek Hill for the number 1 receiver going into 2023 on the Dolphins.
I 100% agree with you on that.
Well, we kind of agreed with each other. Moving on to the next team, the Minnesota Vikings. I got a bold one, so we'll just get out of the way. Make sure Graham doesn't say this one. Justin Jefferson gonna break the all-time record that's held by Calvin Johnson for most receiving yards in a season. Justin Jefferson. What can you say? The best receiver in football. I think the last 2 years, ever since he stepped in the league day one, he's been the best receiver in football. He's not just one of the best receivers right now. He is one of the best receiving talents in the first that we've ever seen step into the league for his first couple of years. We're talking like he's even better than OBJ was early, and that's tough. He's up there with the Randy Moss talk, and this guy, just his route running, top in football. His run after catch ability and his speed, very good. Deep threat, one of the top in football. Good hands, and he can go up and get the ball contested catch. There's nothing he can't do as a receiver, and I think he's gonna in that more pass heavy offense with Kevin O'Connell coming over replacing Mike Zimmer. I think he's going to get a lot of targets, a lot of touches, and I think he's going to break this record and be the first 2,000-yard receiver in NFL history in the regular season. What do you think?
My hot take for the Minnesota Vikings is a complete 180 from you. I'm a little bit more negative on them. I don't think the Minnesota Vikings will make the playoffs. I think they're going to finish third in their division behind the Packers and Lions. Other than Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook, who Dalvin Cook cannot stay healthy. I like Adam Thielen. He's just getting old. Kirk Cousins.
But Adam Thielen's still good. He had like double-digit touchdowns, I think, 2 years in a row. He's getting old, but he's still good.
I think this is his regressing year. This is where he's going to take a couple steps back. I do like Justin Jefferson a lot. I think he's going to have one of the best receiver years of all time. I completely agree with you. But outside of Justin Jefferson, Kirk Cousins is the most average quarterback in football. Average does not get you to the playoffs. Other than I just said that Jared Goff will be a playoff quarterback.
Average doesn't get you to playoffs. It gets you to Super Bowls. No, it doesn't.
I know I contradicted myself, but I would prefer. Oh, that's a hot take. I prefer Jared Goff over Kirk Cousins. I would prefer Jared Goff in the Minnesota Vikings offense than Kirk Cousins. And as much as people are going to hate me for that, I'm not a hater against Kirk Cousins. I just don't like it.
I don't like Kirk Cousins because he beat your team in the playoffs. And how you like that?
Anyways, I don't like their defense either. Danielle Hunter, I like the signing of Desean Smith.
I love the defense.
I like the D line. I don't really like the linebackers. Kendricks is kind of getting up there. Same with Barr in the age wise.
Barr just signed with the Cowboys, by the way, today.
Oh,
Jordan Hicks. They got Jordan Hicks now.
Wait. He signed with the Cowboys today?
Barr signed with the Cowboys today. You were busy, so you missed it.
Okay. Adam Schefter's been giving me mixed reports this offseason.
Playing Adam Schefter?
I could be following that fake account that one guy's been running for like 2 years now. Anyways, sorry to get off topic. Back on topic. I just don't like the Vikings secondary either. Patrick Peterson's getting up there in age. Same with Mr. Smith. It's just the team looks old on the defensive side, and I'm waiting for them to regress.
I think the defense is gonna be good this year. But anyway, I think they have a good mix of young guys and old guys and veterans. They just got so much talent. But we'll get over the Vikings in another video. But the next team, the New England Patriots. What is your spicy take for the New England Patriots?
Hunter Henry will be an all-pro tight end.
I don't think that's like crazy out of question, but I do think it's a very hot take that I strongly disagree with.
Wow. I like Hunter Henry. He's hard to grade because one year he could be really good and the next year he can be hurt. We saw the flashes of him this year, and even when he was on the Chargers, I just need to see that completely filled for a whole season.
Anyway, for the Patriots, I think that has to do with the pass catchers. I think they're going to have 3 800-plus yard pass catchers. That's including Hunter Henry. I think you look at Kendrick Bourne, Jacoby Myers are the two most likely to be 800-yard plus. They were both last year. And then you got Hunter Henry and a guy like Devontae Parker, even Nelson Aguilar if he makes the team. But it's going to be 3 800-plus yard guys, in my opinion, on that team, considering they don't have like that dominant number one guy. But they have a very good depth team and a solid receiving core. But moving on to the next team, the New Orleans Saints. My bold take is that the New Orleans Saints miss the playoffs. I just think that it's a quarterback league, and I think your quarterback holds you back. I think Winston is the 25th or 6th best quarterback in football. I think last year his stat line was very misleading. Look at Trevor Siemian. Trevor Siemian had a very good touchdown-to-interception ratio under Sean Payton. Trevor Siemian's the backup quarterback for the Bears. He's competing with Nathan Peterman for the backup job. But anyway, Trevor Siemian will probably be the Bears' backup. But anyway, the Saints, I think Winston holds him back. I think the loss of Sean Payton is not getting talked about. All they're talking about is MT's back. You got Chris Olave. Jarvis Landry. That's good and all, but you did lose Teron Armstead, who was arguably your best player on that offense. He was injured last year, but when he's healthy, he is arguably the best player on that offense. Then you factor in you lost Sean Payton. I don't think Jameis Winston's going to be the guy. I think this is likely as last year as the starting quarterback in New Orleans. He's coming off the ACL injury. Defense is very good. I'll give him that. But I think this is going to be an 8, maybe 9-win team looking just outside the playoffs.
Okay, so
Your hot take is that they're going to win the division.
nope. My hot take.
You don't think they're going to win the
that
division?
Jameis Winston will be a top 15 quarterback in football. They will make the playoffs. And then here's one more just to add a cherry on the top. Rookie left tackle Trevor Penning will be a top 5 left tackle in PFF grade. I love this man. He is so raw with talent.
I was so low on Trevor Penning. I had Trevor Penning as like a 3rd-round talent.
Wow.
He's literally an unpolished version of Tevin Jenkins last year, who played at Northern Iowa, and Tevin Jenkins might get traded or cut before his 2nd season.
And I think he reminds me a lot of Teron Armstead. Personally, he's not a
polished player.
He's not polished.
He's just a bully boy guy, but I do trust the Saints draft picks on the offensive tackle and line position. So we can see how he performs, but I think that's kind of a bold take. But explain it in further detail why Trevor Penning's going to be
the Saints have historically been the best. The Saints have historically been one of the best drafting teams in football, and that is without a doubt. Look at the 2017 draft class that had right tackle Ryan Ramczyk in it, and not that many people were high on him. Anyways, going back on topic with Trevor Penning, he is very raw. I 100% agree. And I think this offseason at training camp, although he did just get kicked out of training camp today, I did see that. Yes, I know. He literally was beating up on David Onyema. I get it. Trevor Penning, he's very raw. He needs to work on the emotions, and he needs to work on the whole bully boy factor. But if you watch his film from Northern Iowa, and then you watch Teron Armstead coming out of, what college did he come out? It was a
Arkansas, Pinnapoint, I don't know,
State or something like that.
No, it was something random. I'm gonna look it up.
Completely random. You watch the tape of those two guys, Nick, and anyone else here watching. Look how eerily similar they are. Very
University of Arkansas Pine Bluff is where Teron Armstead went.
That's division, like low in Division 2. And you watch those two guys film, look it up, they're eerily similar. Great run blocking, very good pass protecting, although you can see the very rawness in Trevor Penning compared to Teron Armstead, who's a little bit more polished coming out of college.
So now we're going to talk about the Giants' bold prediction. My bold prediction is Daniel Jones throws for 25-plus touchdowns. I think Daniel Jones is going to prove that he is the franchise quarterback for the New York Giants this year, and maybe in 2023 he's going to have another prove-it year, but I think Daniel Jones is the guy. Look at his overall accuracy ability. I think is something that's been really underrated throughout his career. I think his deep ball is very good. Very good deep ball. He's athletic, a good runner. He has the traits. He just needs to be a little bit more consistent in the pocket and just consistent overall as a player, and like to see him stay healthy. And I think with Dable, he's going to get some things cleaned up, become more consistent player, and we're going to see a very good version of Daniel Jones this year.
We agree on the same exact topic for the New York Giants. So I have Daniel Jones doing 25 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 3,500 passing yards plus for this upcoming year. I think this is his prove-it year, and I think he's going to prove it. I personally really like Daniel Jones. Obviously, the mistakes are really bad, but his high is very high. So
we should be called the new Daniel Jones podcast.
Yes. I personally like Daniel Jones. I'm excited to see what he does this year.
Okay, the Daniel Jones stands.
Oh, he's going to flop.
Next team, the other New York team that plays in New Jersey, and I just used the same line as last podcast. Well, New York Jets. I think that they're gonna lead the NFL in sacks as a team. They got guys up front: Quinnen Williams, John Franklin Myers, Carl Lawson, Jermaine Johnson, the second or third,
Sheldon Rankins,
Vinny Curry. I think Vinny Curry's on the team.
Yes.
But They got a lot of depth, a lot of guys. So if a guy goes down, I'm not really concerned. They were pretty low in sacks last year, mainly due to injury with Quentin Williams. Carl Lawson missed the whole season. Didn't have Jermaine Johnson. But I think that this is the year with a secondary that adds guys. It's going to help them like Gardner and DJ Reed. I think that this team is going to be very good on defense under Robert Saleh, and I think that they're going to be the NFL sack leading team. Bold take, though.
I like that. It's a bold take. So for me, my bold take for the New York Jets will end with a 8-9 record. I think they're just a couple games off from making the playoffs this year. I like the Jets. I like Zach. I'm a very firm believer in Zach Wilson. I like Garrett Wilson. I like Elijah Moore. I like this offense that they're building. I think they still need to work on the offensive line. Mekhi Becton, he's good, but he's got to stay healthy. I just need to see a little bit more, consistency with him. The defense, as you just said, I like the defensive line. I like the trade last year with Sheldon Rankins from the Saints. I got to watch a lot of Sheldon Rankins. He's a very underrated defensive tackle. I'm excited to see the Jets. And let's see. I just want to see how they are in the first 7 weeks in football.
On to the next team. I think me and Graham have very similar takes on this team. Eagles, I got finishing 13-4 with the number 1 seed in the NFC. This team's very good. Just look at their receiving core. Got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert at tight end, Chris Watkins, Jalen Reagor as receiving depth. Got Miles Sanders, Kenneth Gainwell, who can play receiver and running back, Boston Scott, solid running backs. Jalen Hurts, you got the best offensive line in football. As I said, you got Jalen Hurts at quarterback. The defensive line is ferocious. Linebackers, Nakobe Dean coming in. You got the cornerback duo is very good with Slay and Brad Bailey. And you got solid safeties with Anthony Harris and Jaquiski Tart. So I think that Nick Sirianni had a good rookie season as a coach. We'll see how he improves on this. But I think they have the easiest schedule in football, and it's not even a debate in my opinion. And I think that this team is just built to win games in the regular season especially. So I'm finishing 13-4. What do you say about the Eagles, Graham?
So I have the Philadelphia Eagles. My bold prediction, very similar to yours. Philadelphia Eagles will have as many wins as the NFC East combined. I think so the other 3 teams, Giants, Cowboys, and Washington.
That's not even possible. What?
Yeah, it is.
So how many games do you have the Eagles winning? 13?
I have the Eagles going 14-3.
Okay, so then
I have the Cowboys.
You'd have to have like the Giants winning 4 games, the Cowboys winning
Giants.
What do you have the Giants?
I have the Giants winning 4. I have the Commanders winning 3 because I do not like Carson Wentz on that team. And then
they have a stud defense and a good offensive supporting cast. The Commandos are not winning 3 games. They're more likely to win 3 games in the NFC East than the whole season. Then you got how many games the Cowboys winning?
Bold prediction.
7.
7.
I strongly disagree with your take as someone who has the Commandos in the playoffs.
Whoa. Wow, that's bold.
That's not even my bold take on here because I didn't think that was bold.
Mine is so bold.
What, the Commandos change the name again? Is that your prediction?
No, it's something to do with Dan Snyder. We'll get into there in a second.
Okay, moving on to the next team. The Pittsburgh Steelers. This is semi-bold. Guy who I'm very high on in fantasy football. I got Najee Harris going for over 2,000 scrimmage yards. So that's receiving yards and rushing yards combined. I think he's a guy who can run for 1,400 yards, receive for 500, 600, 700 yards. And I think he's going to be the Steelers' offense, especially if they don't get the Deontay Johnson contract situation finished or whatever, solved. But I think even with Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool, Najee Harris is going to be the star of this offense, whether it's Trubisky or Pickett throwing the football. I think Najee Harris is going to go for over 2,000 scrimmage yards.
My hot take for the Pittsburgh Steelers is very spicy.
They're going to win 2 games because Graham, the Steelers hater.
No. George Pickens is the best wide receiver in this rookie class.
You're just going off training camp. If we go off training camp, Jamar Chase can't play football. George Pickens is not a top 10 wide receiver in this class.
I don't think.
I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll come on here and admit that George Pickens is good. But we'll see. But I'll give you this. George Pickens was so tough to evaluate because how much time he missed in college. It was hard for someone like me who doesn't have access to all 22 college football
Yeah.
games to find good George Pickens tape. And to me, he looked mainly like just a sideline guy who wasn't a guy who would create much separation, do much over the middle. And I just wasn't a big fan. But go on with George Pickens.
George Pickens, he is a Pittsburgh Steeler. Think of a mindset and of a menace like George Pickens. Where does he belong? In the dirty towel, formerly known Heinz Field, waving those towels, being a menace, talking trash. He is a Pittsburgh Steeler. He's going to fit in that culture. He's going to do great, and I'm so excited to see him play football. I am a little bit worried about his quarterback situation, but I think he can be the reason why the Pittsburgh Steelers could possibly be a wild card team in the AFC.
Yeah, I think the Seahawks could be a wild card team as well. But anyway, moving on to the... Oh, I typed the wrong team. Well, on the San Francisco 49ers now, I literally could not think of something for the Niners because I was thinking, okay, Nick Bosa lead the league in sacks. That's not bold at all. But what I came up with, since some people don't like Trey Lance at all, I'm just going to say the Niners win a playoff game with Trey Lance as the starting quarterback this year. May sound like Niners win a playoff game, but some people aren't high on Trey Lance at all. I mean, I do have the Niners winning the NFC West, but I don't think that's bold. So I don't know which more bold, Niners winning the NFC West or Trey Lance winning the playoff game. I'm just going to say Niners win the playoff game, leave it at that. Don't take it for what you want. Call it bold or not bold. Graham, what's your prediction for the Niners?
This one's a little different, and I'm sure we'll see our schedules throughout before the start of the year. I actually have the 49ers sweeping the
Entire
Los
division?
Angeles Rams. No, not the entire division. I think they'll lose a game to the Cardinals.
They swept the Rams like 4 years in a row. I don't think that's
know.
bold. I mean, I don't have them sweeping the Rams, so I guess you have some.
It's kind of bold only because the Rams came off of a Super Bowl, and their team necessarily didn't get that much worse. And the 49ers have a giant question mark at quarterback, even though we both like Trey Lance. I still think that they're going to sweep the Los Angeles Rams. It's kind of a bold prediction, kind of like how you said. There isn't really much to predict that's bold unless you want to say the 49ers are going to the Super Bowl and winning it all. And I don't have that happening. I don't really have that close to happening. And I know you don't really either. So there's nothing really the 49ers can do. They're kind of like a giant question mark.
On to the next team, we got the Seattle Seahawks. Kenneth Walker, I have being top 8 in rushing yards. We talked a little bit about him last week. I thought he should have been a first-round pick. I'm just going to say top 8 in rush yards. Seahawks like to run the ball. Chris Carson retired. I think that Penny is not going to really be as good as Walker, so I think Walker's going to be the main guy there and going to be 1,000-yard rusher, top 8 in rushing yards. What you got for the Seahawks?
For the Seahawks, I have Tyler Lockett will be traded by the end of the deadline for this year. Kind of a bold take. I know he's kind of in a weird situation with his contract, but I don't see him being a Seahawk by the end of this deadline. He's 28, 29 years old. He's getting up there in age. The Seahawks really have no need for him. They're rebuilding. They're not reloading. And it's time for him to move on, and they need to start building around DK Metcalf, and that starts off with getting rid of Tyler Lockett.
On to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This one's weird, because if I told you a year ago Julio Jones leading a team in receiving yards is a bold take, you would have looked at me like, huh? But I think it's a bold take this year to say Julio Jones leads the Bucs in receiving yards. I think Mike Evans isn't as good as some people think. And I think Julio Jones, if he can stay healthy, he's going to lead this team in receiving yards, in my opinion. Because you look at it this way, Evans has barely been eclipsing 1,000 yards for 1,000 yards for 2 or 3 years straight now. Just gets to 1,000 yards. I think Julio, full season, could easily get over 1,000 yards. So I'm going to have Julio Jones leading the Bucs in receiving yards this year.
Man, some of these teams we have them spot on. I have Julio Jones leading the Buccaneers with receptions, not yards. But I have them leading.
I think Godwin's going to lead receptions if he's a starter.
I think Godwin's going to lead
week 1 if he's healthy.
Godwin's going to lead with yards. Evans is going to lead with touchdowns. And Julio's going to lead with receptions. I have them all 3 leading a category. This is very rare, too. It's very hard for 3 different receivers to lead at 3 different categories. But I can see it happening because all 3 of them are very good. Also, don't forget about Russell Gage. Russell Gage could also be leading this team with yards per catch because we know he's a deep ball threat. We know how he can space the field. He can be a great number 4 receiver. And don't forget about the number 5 receiver. I know you like him. I like myself some Scotty Miller. He's speedster little guy, very underrated. More of a special teams guy now since he's going to be slotting into the 5-hole receiver. But I like the depth on the Buccaneers. But I like Julio Jones on this team.
Next team, we got the Tennessee Titans, Julio Jones' former team. A lot of people have this team regressing, and I'm one of those people. But it seems like people I guess maybe more people on TV and in the betting market are probably higher on the Titans than people like just NFL fans. But I got the Titans finishing 8-9. Guess it's bold considering they were the number 1 seed last year, but usually don't want to predict off last year. But I guess 8-9 could be considered bold. But I got the Titans at 8-9 mainly because I think that this offense, even though I like Treylon Burks, losing AJ Brown is a big deal, and I think that this offensive line has regressed. I think Tannehill, I don't think he's as bad as some people think, but he's definitely not as good as he was 2 years ago. But anyway, I think the defense kind of overperformed last year, but we can see how they perform this year. I got them finishing 8-9 in tough AFC.
Yeah, I have my hot take for the Tennessee Titans is Malik Willis will be the starting quarterback by the end of Week 9.
I strongly disagree. I don't think Willis is going to start this season at all.
I don't like Ryan Tannehill. I think they're going to start off the season very cold, and they're going to look for an answer. They're going to try to do the whole Derrick Henry test once again, and I think they're going to realize that they just can't rely on one person. Treylon Burks is going to start to falter a little bit because Ryan Tannehill can't give him the ball. And I think they're going to switch over to Malik Willis. Do I think it's necessarily going to work this year? Do I think Malik Willis is ready for this season? Absolutely not. I think he needs to sit for a year, kind of like Trey Lance, because he's so raw in talent. But I think they're going to end up looking to him for a spark, and he's going to get some playing time.
So the next team we got, the last team is the Commandos of Washington Football Club. We got the Washington Commandos, the footballs, the team, the football team. So for the football team, now the Commandos, I got Taylor McLaurin finishing with over 1,400 receiving yards, which will probably put him top 5, I would assume. It would be like top 3, 4. I think Taylor McLaurin has the full package in his game. Really been hurt by his lack of quarterback play the last couple of years. I don't see many flaws in his game. I think he's going to solidify himself as maybe a top 5 receiver this year with over 1,400 yards. What about you, Graham?
I have the Washington Commanders, formerly known as the Washington Football Team, formerly known as the Washington Redskins, also now going to be formerly known as the worst owner of all time, Dan Snyder. I think that their stadium, FedEx Field, will actually partially collapse as they're losing 49-0 to the Danny Dimes New York Giants. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, I actually think the Commanders are going to be the worst team in the NFC. I don't like the roster. I don't like Carson Wentz anymore after he got hurt. He just hasn't been the same. I like Terry McLaurin, and I like Curtis Samuel. We'll see if he's coming back the same as he was before at Carolina.
They got Jahan Dotson, Antonio Gibson.
Dotson, I like that draft from Penn State. Gibson, I'm not as high on Gibson as most other people are. He was a receiver coming out of college. Last year, he fumbled the football like he was a receiver coming out of college, and I think that's going to stick around this year, and he's going to cause a lot of points turned off of turnovers. I don't necessarily like their defense. I'm excited to see Chase Young come back. I like that D-line. That's the only bright spot that they have about them. And other than that, I'm not very high on the Commanders. The NFC East is kind of an easy division this year with who they're matched up against. But I just think that they're not good enough to compete, and they're not going to do that well.
Okay, so back to Taylor McLaurin. Yeah, I think he's a very good route runner. He's been very good after the catch, and he actually led the league in contested catches last year per PFF. That's probably due to his quarterback making him have to make a lot of contested catches, not because he's like a jump ball specialist or anything, but I think he's got a little bit of everything in his game. Like I said, good route running, good speed, still runs like a 4.3 something, run after the catch, can catch the ball in tight windows, and I think he's going to have a very good statistical season now that I think he has a at least average quarterback in Carson Wentz, in my opinion. Wentz is average. But I think Wentz can at least be average. It may be even better if he gets back to his form from a couple, 2, 3, 4 years ago. But anyway, that's going to wrap up the podcast. Sorry, it ran a little long. We're trying to get these in an hour. we talk a lot. But anyway, the next one next week, planning on getting one out next week, is actually going to be top 5 players projected at each position this season. So me and Graham are going to have a graphic on here. We're just going to have our top 5 quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, tight ends, offensive linemen, D linemen, linebackers, corners, safeties for this year, projecting who's going to be the best player at each position this year. That should be a fun one, Graham. So what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I'm excited. I definitely think I'm going to get some criticism for my edge rushers. I have someone that's very high that I think you're going to hate, but I'm excited for next.
Does he play for the team up in Lambeau?
No.
Okay.
He plays in a team down in the Bayou.
Okay. Marcus Davenport top 5. I'm kidding.
No.
You'll have Cam Jordan top 5, which is not. I don't hate it. I just don't think it's top 5 anymore.
Maybe he's third.
But anyway, so that'll be next week's podcast. Also, within the next week or two, I'd say within the next 10 days, I should have my projected quarterback rankings out in a video on the channel and my offensive rankings out. Been working on those graphics and just got to finish the graphics, get them recorded. So that'll be on the channel. Gearing up for the NFL season. Then we're going to have weekly podcast power rankings during the NFL season. So going to want to subscribe and appreciate it. And that's going to do it for today. Have a good one. Peace.
See y'all.